If you're like me, the main reason that your musicianship is bad is because you didn't have the right kind of family childhood trauma that gave you crippling self-doubt and not cool, creative, inspirational childhood trauma. Can't do anything about that, it's too late, but your guitar soloing can be improved, and I've got the answer for you right here. This is something that I've just actually started doing myself more recently, but I want to give you an example of a way that you can kind of solo in an educated way that isn't bad, but isn't really helping you, right? So I'm just gonna loop like a D major chord, and then I'm gonna solo over it. All right, so it's like, was that bad? It wasn't bad. Like, I knew what I was doing. I was playing a D major chord. I was playing the D major scale on top of it. But it's like, there's too much going on. I think one of the mistakes you might make when you're practicing a solo is like, what are you actually practicing a solo over? So much of how you practice guitar solos or any kind of instrument solos has so much to do with what you're playing over, the chords on top of it, all this stuff, but not even just the chords in general, how you play the chords. So the first thing we're gonna do today is we're gonna take that D major chord, that we're gonna start this off in the key of D, and we're gonna make it something with a little more space and rhythm instead of just, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but again, that's taking up so much of like the sonic spectrum, because I'm playing here, and then I'm playing like those notes, which are in the same spot. So I'm not really getting a lot of separation. And even if I kind of like play in a different register, like here, I'll loop that again. Right? Even if I play a different register, it's like there's so much going on with that loop that I made that it's like, all right, I need a little more space to really hear what I'm playing and work on my articulation and make the solos better, all right? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take that D major chord and we're gonna turn it into a riff that is single notes at a time, outlining and representing a D major chord, all right? So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna take the first 6 notes in the key of D and we're gonna use them as numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really easy because it's symmetrical. It's 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna announce that it's a D major chord, just like that. All right, we're gonna hit that D twice. And then we're gonna spell the chord out in a way that we can maybe use these other numbers, right? So it'll sound something like this. Okay, so this is gonna be a riff that is outlining a D major chord that is leaving a lot of space to solo over it, and then this is really gonna do wonders for your ear. So the way I'm playing this is I'm thinking of numbers, right? Remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 1, 6, 5, 3, 2. Okay, so let me loop this. Okay, so now we've got that. All right, so let's talk about the D major scale real quick. Let's just do a real isolated and limited way of playing this D major scale. Okay, so we're gonna start on the 7th fret of the G string, 7, 9, B string, 7, 8, 10, high E string, 7, 9, 10, okay? D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, back to D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? So you really need to get familiar with at least one of these shapes, whether it's pentatonic or the full major scale. But once you kind of get the whole picture, and then we have something to play over it, then you can start listening to what you're actually playing and kind of do it in a more cohesive way, all right? Now, because I have so much more room of the chord that I'm playing over. And again, that still is the chord, even though we're seeing it as a riff. It's still a chord, right? There's always a chord to be gleaned from any kind of riff, all right? And the beautiful thing about using like a numbering system from the major scale is you can use that same number system for different chords in the scale. So now we're gonna add another chord, and even just playing over this kind of like little riff thing, I can so much more clearly hear what I'm playing. And being able to hear what you're playing and how your fingers are reacting to the notes is so important in actually getting better at soloing on guitar. It almost kind of like slows down what you're doing when you're fighting like a, you know, that's all well and good, and you can do cool stuff over that. But when you're fighting the rhythm of something like that and trying to get your notes to stick out, you're not really making as much progress making that connection between your ears and your fingertips, all right? So like I said, we're gonna use this, this numbering system to start playing with the changes and adding other chords in there. But first, I wanna tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It is Sweetwater and Gator. The Gator Headliner cable series is what we're using today. So 2 really important things that make these cables awesome, right? And I've been through a lot of cables. I've broken a lot of cables. First of all, it's a right angle cable, right? And if you have any kind of guitar where the input jack is on the side and you're playing on a couch, I've broken more cables sitting back on here because I don't have a right angle, all right? So, you know, there are other cheaper right angle cables you can get, but I think the super amazing part about these cables in particular is, again, this is fully on, check this out. Silent cable release, okay? You don't have to do anything. Sometimes, you know, like if you're in the dark and you're trying to like, trying to get that in there. I don't know how this works. This is actually kind of amazing where it doesn't have the zzz sound where you kind of like unplug your guitar or whatever. To me, that alone is kind of worth it. But also you can just tell by like the build quality that these are really awesome. They come with a limited lifetime warranty, storage bags included. I love Gator stuff. I use their cases, their boom stands. I've got so much Gator stuff in here, it's kind of ridiculous. But you know, like a true Florida man, you would be rocking the Gator stuff. So there is an affiliate link in the description. Get yourself a cable. If you're looking for a new one, you're always looking for a new one, like I am. Until now, because I got these. And again, I don't know why it's so fun for me to just to unplug this and not have it be like a live, just noisy cable, and then be able to just get right back into it. So thank you to Sweetwater and Gator Cables for sponsoring the video. Affiliate link in the description really helps the channel out. Anything that you buy through Sweetwater, please do it through my affiliate link. It really helps me out. All right. So let's take that little riff number system, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And then let's apply it to another chord. Let's go a 1 chord to a 4 chord in the key of D. D, E, F sharp, G. All right, so let's go to the G chord, right? 3rd fret. We do the same thing. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Now, you'd be like, well, how come I can use the same thing? Isn't that just the G major scale? The beautiful thing about this, and you'll know if you sign up for my Patreon. Also, there's a minor chord version of this lesson going up on the Patreon later on tonight. You'll know that G's chord in the key of D has a sharp 4, right? So because our riff is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, we're not using the number 4, the note that is different between D and G in this key. Again, sorry if I'm going over your head with the music theory stuff, but it's important to learn that kind of thing, right? So we're gonna bring G in to the equation. And I can kind of do the same riff, right? 3, 3, 5, 7, 5, 7, 3, 3, 7, 5, 7, 5 on the E string. And again, I think it's really important when you're doing some kind of riff-based chording to announce the root note first, because that really kind of sets the palette that this is a G major chord instead of D. G, right? And we kind of have a little different vibe. So, the D chord. G. And then I have a loop of just those. So there's D. And then there's G. Okay, so what can I do? I can just stay in D major. chords going back and forth, now you can really focus on where you're choosing to end certain phrases. And I think that's also very, very important, right? Like, for instance, I think let's focus on two notes, right? Let's focus on this note and this note. The 7th fret on the G string, which is a D, and the 7th fret on the B string, which is an F sharp, okay? So basically what I'm thinking of is maybe those are two notes that are in a D major chord, and that F sharp is not in a G major chord. You could add that chord to a G and it'd still sound fine. Again, here, I'll play that just at F sharp over the G, right? So there's a D in the chord. To see it fits a little better, I think, inside D's portion of that loop. And again, it's gonna fit anywhere because it's in the key. But I think thinking about maybe where you end phrases, or where maybe you like take a pause, take a beat during a solo over like a looper pedal thing, has a lot of importance with which chord you're playing over at the time, right? So maybe let's look for our chord tones, the notes that are in those chords for D. D is really easy because here's the shape for D major right here, and then maybe we can get the D on top right there. So I'm just thinking of, the 7th fret on the D, G, and B string, and then the 10th fret of the high E string. So these are maybe notes I want to kind of take a beat and pause on during D major's kind of cycle. For G major, we're looking at, they actually share a few notes, right? G, B, and D. So we can still have that D. But let's try to find a D here, or a G here. So D, E, F sharp, G, right there. So maybe this is our little arpeggio, G, B, D, the 8th fret of the B string, the 7th fret of the E string, and the 10th fret of the high E string. And these are the notes that maybe I want to take a beat on during G's part, right? G. So again, I think really kind of letting a solo breathe is something that really helps, like I said, make that connection between your ears and your fingertips, okay? Now the next thing I want to do is take kind of like the same idea, but let's maybe talk a little bit more about the rhythmic way to add a little bit of what we're doing. And when I talked about making that little riff out of the numbers, again, I didn't really talk about the rhythm of it, but basically I'm still getting that kind of muted 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 1, 6, 5, 3, 2. So again, keeping the rhythm like that, I think is like a pretty underrated and important way of just kind of playing anything. So maybe let's change the rhythm up a little bit and do something in a different time signature. Let's do something in 3/4. So maybe the rhythm's gonna sound like this. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1. See, I'm getting that 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. And again, those are just the counts. I'm still getting a, and then I'm going 4, 5, 6 on the rhythmic count, but sliding into the 9th fret, which again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then right there. So 90, 7G, 9G. We're venturing a little higher into the fretboard. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, and then the second time, 1, 2, and 3, and 6, 5, 3. Again, it's funny, like using scale degrees and also like numbers as far as like the rhythm. Super confusing, but thanks for sticking with me, guys. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1. So let's loop this. All right. So now I have a little bit of a different vibe. that I'm still kind of landing on the same chord tones, but the vibe of that entire thing has changed because the chords behind it, the rhythm, the time signature has changed. All right, so let's do that same thing, and now let's add that G chord into it. So now let's do kind of like a waltz loop with D and G. So another D, G. To the G. So I think you can kind of see this, like, all right, when I have that much more space of what I'm doing behind the actual soloing, and again, this is just a very, very limited just example of soloing because we're just staying in one just kind of like position, right? Feel free to branch off into different positions, of course. I was trying to simplify this as much as I could, just in one spot over 2 chords. But again, that's kind of like an unlimited way to practice your lead playing with 2 chords in one position, which I think is awesome. So thanks again for watching the video. Thanks to Sweetwater and Gator for this incredible magical witchcraft device. And like I said, the minor chord version of this lesson is going up on Patreon later tonight. So I appreciate you guys watching, and hit me up if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.